Welcome to 15 minutes. Here we go. We're going to go super fast. Things that are working now. And as you know, all of us are in various stages of lockdown. For the last 4 weeks, our teams have been working remotely, and some of them very successfully. So I wanted to share with you those tactics that are working right now. We can almost see that light at the end of the tunnel. Many of you have been sharing with me, our team specifically, have been sharing that their elective surgeries are about to come back online. That is a blessing for many of us. And for some of you, depending on what state you live in, we are just going to be in multiple states, meaning previously for the last 4 weeks, we've been marketing remotely, and we're going to share some of those best tactics. Moving forward, some of you may be able to get to your accounts as we slowly come off of lockdown or shelter in place. So I think we're going to be running a hybrid here. I wrote in my blog over the weekend that I don't believe we are going back to that traditional 40 sales calls a week. So some of the skills that we have skilled up with over the past 4 weeks are still going to be in play, not only just for the next month, but really your whole careers. And what I'm talking about is remote marketing. Because I don't think this is going to ever go back, not just because of the lockdown situation or access situation, but honestly, I can cover more ground in less time. So as you heard me say, traditionally, we have 40 sales calls a week in person under normal circumstances pre-COVID. What I recognize is that the teams that we run and coach, they're covering 100-ish calls a week. And that means via email, text, video, however, whatever your medium of choice is or your referral sources medium of choice is, we are seeing great results with that. So what we recognize is when I first came out and coached our teams, we talked about the Focus 50. Focus 50 were 50 accounts that traditionally sent you referrals in the past. If you looked at your account list, we called that the Focus 50. The very first thing that we asked our sales reps to do is get contact information for those Focus 50 accounts and get the contacts that are inside of them via email, via text even. And that was a pretty smooth process. You probably did that too, where you went out and we had a whole script around gaining that contact information. And then over the period of that first 2 weeks, we gave scripts to the sales reps to go out and presence that we were open. Here is our COVID policy. This is how we were caring for clients or patients. And that communication started the process of digitally discussing our sales calls. You also heard from me if you attended any of our free COVID webinars, we talked about that inside sales process, that it really is a process. And for those of you who didn't get a chance to go through that COVID marketing, Jason can put that link also in the chat in here so that you can go ahead and take a look at that. But we talked about how were teams working remotely. And that was their first foray into this. Fast forward 4 weeks later, our sales reps are doing a really great job of prospecting. And so recognizing that in the past, people may have said to us, you can't prospect remotely. We don't get referrals off the phone. How do we do that? And we really hadn't had the challenge of making our sales reps do it. And so until COVID, right? Once COVID hit, we had to find a new way. And the really great thing is that you can absolutely prospect via email, phone, and video. And our reps are proving it every day. So I'd like to share with you some of our results around that and how you can do the same thing. The first thing that you heard me talk about was the Focus 50 accounts. we turned that into what now I'm calling the obsessed 100. So once the sales reps did their normal 50, we learned that we were so efficient, we could add another 50 accounts into our repertoire for them to contact each week. That means we're touching more accounts every week. That's why I say we're not going to go back. Even if everything opened up and you were able to get back inside, if we recognize that the results are just too good to abandon some of this remote marketing, some of these remote marketing tactics. And, you know, in these 4 weeks, they're killing it. And in addition, not only for our own teams, but we also have about 167 marketers that are going through our inside sales program, and they're repeating the process. So the prospecting script that we worked last week, one home health rep emailed me and said within 30 minutes of sending it, he got one referral, one set appointment, and even though he emailed the wrong referral source, he actually, that referral source or that contact forwarded the email to another referral source or another contact in that account and got the right person. So even on a cold email, he was able to get those results. Another home care rep used that prospecting email on a cold assisted living, meaning she had never reached out to this AL before or had spoken to a staff member there. She started an exchange at that assisted living with the resident life care director and just simply asked if she needed help, if she needed backup for her resident assistants because they were in lockdown and those residents were kind of isolated in their apartments. This rep asked if she could be the backup for the resident assistants with her caregivers. The AL said yes, and by the end of the day, they were exchanging a contract for that home care agency to become the backup provider for that AL. So we know this works. It's super exciting, and you can do it too. So let's give you some great inside sales tips. The first one, as I mentioned at the top of the hour here, if you haven't got all your contacts for that focus of 50, this may be the last week that you're going to get their attention. So you have got to hustle. If you don't have them, it is not too late. You want to start there. Think about this. One of the mnemonics that we use is 3 in, 3 out. When you'll hear us say that to our sales reps, that means we want them to touch 3 people on the way in, 3 people on the way out. We also say this to our clinicians or to our caregivers. The intention of that is that we can touch many people in that assisted living or nursing home or wherever you're at. And it allows you the opportunity to get more points of contact because we all know those social workers are going to leave. So if you just have one point of contact in your accounts right now, the first thing that I would ask you to do and challenge yourself is to get 2. And if you got 2, get 3. So think about, we're looking for 3 contacts. That means their email or their cell phone. And you can just simply say, hey, we would like to gain your contact information because in this time of social distancing, we recognize that the best way to communicate with you may be digitally. And we want to communicate our COVID policies to you, and we want to share information about mutual patients. It's a great, valid business reason for you to gain this information. These are things that we've been doing for the last 4 weeks and even before that in person, but now you're leveraging the technology to create efficiencies. So number 1, get your focus 50, get those account contacts. Number 2, if you already have those because you've been listening to us over the past month and you want more, go for your obsessed 100. So look at the next 50. I will share with you that the teams that I personally manage, we are now going to carry 50, what I'm going to call calling accounts. These are the remote marketing accounts that we will always carry moving forward, and we will be contacting them digitally. Maybe we'll go see them once a quarter or once a month, whatever's appropriate, but we will always carry at least 50 accounts moving forward digitally. And so I want you to be prepared to do that too. And then follow your cadence. So what does that mean? It means that we've got to figure out the way that your referral sources like to be contacted. So this morning I was on my team calls. I do team calls where I kick off them each Monday. And one of my teams was talking about how she has referral sources at orthopod's offices who just like to text. That's their preferred methodology. And she was sharing that all of her communication is going through text. I will share with you that I like to vary it up. So some of it's email, some of it's texting, some of it's video. And a lot of you are doing video, which is great because video humanizes your business. So we recognize that there has got to be a cadence. Is that Monday, Wednesday, Friday that you're communicating with them, or is it daily? I will share with you that one of the compliance nurses at one of the teams I manage indicated that she felt like daily was too much. And I said to her when we first went out with this process of let us try it. Because we're doing bite-sized pieces of information, not huge, long dissertations on home health or home care or hospice. Bite-sized pieces of information, and we're giving it to them, presenting it to them on a daily so they can consume it and move on. And what we recognized is when we're not there in person, when the message is diluted. So they needed to hear it a couple different ways. And you'll always hear the trainers of the business say adult learning 7 times in 7 different ways that people need to hear it in order to internalize it and act upon it. So recognizing how you're going to complete your cadence. So in our Inside Sales program, we gave them the scripts to do it. We also gave them the cadence to work on, and they would identify what accounts really resonated with what medium. Was it text, was it email, or was it a combination? And what we find is that most of the accounts require a combination. You will also indicated on the cadences, how frequently do we do a home health or hospice or in-home care sales message versus what I'm going to call a social message. And what I mean by that is that talk to the person first, right? They're stressed out. So talking about self-care perhaps, or maybe talking about how they're doing in their families, right? Connect with the human first and then presence the home health or in-home care sales message of the week. For those of you who are part of our 52-week roadmap of referrals, you will know that we do a sales message of the week. This is just turned and put in remotely. And so for those of you who are familiar with, selling by diagnosis, really easy for you to take some of those same diagnoses and pull them into a remote message, either via email or voicemail. All right, and then, so what we're doing right now is about 3 home care specific sales messages to 1 social or self-care message. And number 3, paint a picture of that patient that you desire. We call that patient vignettes. I just saw one of my reps do something really impactful on Friday. She did a video and highlighted elderly, so she was really focusing on assisted livings, highlighting seniors who are isolated and how it decreases their cognition and how it their balance also decreases because they're not getting out and moving, and thus increased risk of fall. And she talked about that and how home care might be able to help that resident. Really a great picture. She painted very vividly of that particular resident, and she was able to generate referrals off of that video. It was just 2 or 3 minutes. It wasn't that long, but it was really impactful because she did a beautiful job of presenting a patient vignette. And then number 5. So number 5 is all about scaling up. This is a perfect time for you guys to take your inside sales skills to the next level, not just for this time, for however long we're inside, but also for the rest of your career. You heard me talk about this. We are always going to carry another 50 accounts in our bucket that we may never get to see that person there because of geographic territory. Some of you are in rural territories. It's going to take you a long time to get there. Or some of you are in Los Angeles. And I know it takes forever to get 4 blocks sometimes. So recognizing that these skills, these inside sales skills that we presenced here with some tips, are always going to be part of your repertoire. I will tell you, if you're looking for scripts and templates written for you, right now we are doing an inside sales program. Our next coaching session is tomorrow. It's for 60 minutes. And for the most of you know us at Home Care Sales, our normal 6-week coaching program is about $1,500. We're doing this coaching program for $65 as a way to give back to the community, the industry that we love, and it is our life's work. So if you're interested in joining that, we'd love to have you, and bringing home care, home health, and hospice reps together to all serve our elderly and seniors out in the field. So thank you for doing that. Jason was going to put that up in the chat, but if you are listening on your phone and want more information on that, you can just simply email Jason at Home Care Sales, and he'll be able to hook you up with that for just an administration fee of $65. So thank you for that. It is time for us to skill up. We recognize that being remote has presented its challenges, but I will share with you, I think it has presented a lot more opportunity. I am very excited about our future. I know that the value of home care has been demonstrated very, very clearly now. You know, very clear, we see how much home care is needed. In addition, we've been hearing about hospital to home forever. I had the opportunity to be in New Orleans after Katrina, and we started to talk about hospital to home then, back in 2005, and we're talking about it again this time. And I feel like COVID has really highlighted home care. This is a community disease, and the best way to decrease risk and decrease exposure is to keep seniors home and keep them safe. And who better to do that than in-home care, hospice, and Medicare certified home health? We are the leaders here. It is time for us as marketers to stand up and show our value to our referral sources and our accounts about how we can decrease risk at home. And this is all we think about, is how to do that better, and share it with your referral sources in a way that they can hear it, so that you get more referrals to impact more patients and families' lives. Thanks for hanging in there today with us. We're so glad you took the time to join us, and I appreciate all that you do out in the field. You have 2 links. One, a free COVID webinar. If you didn't happen to see that, Jason put that in the chat. He also put a link to our $65 6-week coaching program, and the next coaching session starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Together we grow. Keep serving all the seniors out there. Thanks, everyone.